extension. And the extension is, I think, where DeepL really, really shines. I'm going to show you a couple examples of that. I have a link to the extension here that's in the Chrome Web Store. First place I want to show you is just on a website. So if I select text, you'll see I get this little menu that pops up here. That's the DeepL menu. The pen with a magic around it, that is an AI tool for better writing. That's not the translation piece, but the symbol with the A, that is translation. So when I click that, I get a nice little window that opens with the translation right there. What I love about this is it doesn't leave the website to provide the translation. You see the translation right there side by side with your website. It's super easy to use. Working the same way, you can also right-click on the text, go to Translate with DeepL, and the same thing happens there. So pretty great. You can choose, of course, all 33 languages. Another place it really shines is inside Google Slides. There are not really any great, get out of this, there's not any really great native translation tools inside Google Slides, but DeepL does better than any other tool I've seen out there. The first thing I'm going to do is make a copy of my presentation because the translation is going to actually do a replacement. So if I go to File, make a copy of my whole presentation, it'll take just a second. And let me go to a slide that has information on it. As it loads, go to this slide here. So this icon right here is the DeepL symbol. And so when I see that, I can click that. Oh, and it's turned it on down here at the bottom. So I now can click it there, and I'm going to do some translation from English, which it should be recognizing, but in case it doesn't, I'll let it know, from English into French. And then I'll click Translate. Let me go to this other slide here. Let me do that again. English to French, translate. And what it does is it actually takes the text that's there in English and replaces it with the French text. And so you want to be careful when using this because it actually got rid of my original text there. And so always make a copy before you use it. But you see it works beautifully inside the actual platform as opposed to translating off to the side like some of the other translation tools. So this is a fantastic tool. Another place you can use it, which is unusual, is inside Google Forms or other places where you might need to enter information. So if I go here and open up this form I have ready for you, it doesn't do it here for first and last name, but if I go down here to where I could put in a paragraph, you see I have this little DeepL symbol. And when I click that, I already did some practice translation, as you can tell. I love this tool. You can type in whatever language, click the DeepL, and then you can translate to your tool or to your language of choice. So for this one, I chose Dutch, but I could choose Arabic or any other language right there. So this is a great way for a student to fill out a Google form in their language and then translate it to English before they submit it so the teacher can read the language or whatever language the class is being taught in. Okay, so that is DeepL. So hopefully everybody loves that tool. Moving right along, we have Google Translate. And so let's look to see what Google Translate looks like compared to DeepL. It looks a lot like DeepL does, right? We have a place to put our text on the left. It will translate on the right. Just like with DeepL, I can put in that text and it will translate on the right-hand side. It can also translate images and documents. Image translation is a little bit of a newer thing. It doesn't work super great, but I'm going to show you an example of that in just a second. But I want to show you my favorite thing about Google Translate that DeepL doesn't do. If you remember, when I did the voice to text with DeepL, it recorded and then translated. In Google Translate, it will translate live as I'm talking. So this is something a student could turn on in class. The teacher would be lecturing, and this microphone would capture what the teacher's saying, and then the student would be able to read what the teacher's saying in their chosen language on the right-hand side. So that is a difference between Google Translate and DeepL. I love, love, love that. Just like DeepL, there are some extensions that use Google Translate. So I'll head back over here to my school website. I've already selected my text. And I have two tools. One is the official Google Translate extension. When I click that, you'll see it takes me straight into Google Translate. So it grabbed that text and brought it over here. Now, while that does a good job translating, what I don't like is it causes you to leave the original web page. I think anytime we have students leave the website and go to another one, that can cause problems. So like unlike DeepL, it left and went to another tab. The other extension, though, is this translate selection into. And when I hover over this, you can see I have some languages that are preloaded, but I could choose, for example, Korean right here. And this one doesn't overlay like DeepL does. So this is the same translation power, but instead of leaving and going to another tab, it puts it on top of the website we already are. So you're not leaving the website. Okay, so as promised, I wanted to show you some examples of the translation power for PDFs and images in Google Translate. Here on the left-hand side is a PDF that this is the original form, and on the right is the translated version. And I have part of it cut off, but you can see that while it translates, it's not perfect in the layout. I do like that it gives this machine translated by Google up here at the top, so it lets you know that it was translated by a tool as opposed to a person. But you see that the layout, like up here, this heading that has the school name and address is a little bit out of balance, and the text is a little bit weird. So while it translates, this is not something I would put in front of parents or students because it doesn't look that great. Also, Google Translate can do image translation. And again, this is a newer feature. Not all translation tools can do this. But you see here, I have an image here on the left-hand side. This image is a PNG. And the original, talks about Chagas disease in the digestive system and so on. So what it does is it does translate the information, but the formatting is off. It's changed the font. It's changed some of the sizes of the text. So again, the information makes it, but it's not correctly formatted. So it doesn't look super great. It's better than nothing, but it's not something I would choose to use because I have a better tool for you. Okay, Google Meet. Now, Google Meet has free versions and pay versions depending on the edition of Google Workspace your organization uses. But some of them allow for live translation captions. And I can't demo this because I can't run a Google Meet while I'm in Zoom at the same time. But under the settings in a Google Meet, once you've started, you can choose the language of the meeting. So I would choose English because I speak English. And then you would choose the language for translated captions. And then down here, you can see a picture. You can see there's me right there. That the meeting language is English, and it's having translated captions into French. And so when I'm speaking in a meeting, the captions would display in whatever language I've chosen. And the great thing is each user can choose their caption language. So one user might choose French, another one might choose Dutch, another one might choose Arabic, and so on. So it makes it really accessible for your entire audience. The other thing is you can start a Google Meet and run it with nobody else. So if you're in a seminar, a face-to-face environment, and you're learning, you can start a Google Meet and have that Meet pick up the voice of the speaker, and the Google Meet will show the translated captions as the person is speaking. A lot like Google Translate did in that previous example, but it's a great accessibility tool. I wish I could demo it, but when there's too many cameras and microphones, it doesn't like it. All right, staying with Google, Google Docs has built-in translation as well. So let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to open up a new Google Doc by going to doc.new, and I'm going to paste in that text that I keep using right here. And if I go to Tools up here in the toolbar, go to Translate Document, I give the document a title, I choose a language. We'll go with Bulgarian this time. I'll click Translate. And what it does is it maintains my original. So there's my original right there. And then right next to it, it opens a new tab with my translated version. And it's taking a moment. We've been having a few internet issues today, so hopefully this is not related to that. Drink a sip of water while we're waiting. Well, let's see. Let me try it again to see if something else is going on. Okay, it did French faster than Bulgarian. Maybe Bulgarian is a little bit more challenging to do the translation for. But you see, it did a translation of the same thing. And like I said, it maintained my original. And now I have the translated version that I can use. So it's super easy for students to do that. Something you might not know is that Google Sheets also allows translation. So let me show you an example of that. I have a spreadsheet right here. And in my spreadsheet, I have a place where I can type in English, and then I have some formulas set up to translate the English into Spanish, French, Korean, and Arabic. So right here where I have English, I could say today is Monday. And when I hit enter on my keyboard, it does a translation across the board right there. Now, is it going to be perfect? Maybe not, but it's going to be a pretty good approximation. And what I love about this is as a teacher, you could put in a list of common phrases that you might use in your classroom, things like it's time for lunch or bathroom break, that sort of thing. And then you could have a list for a student who speaks another language to hand to them to help them navigate the environment of your classroom. Very, very easy to use. Or it could be vocabulary words for your particular unit. We know that a lot of subjects are really vocabulary heavy. And so you would put your vocabulary in here and have it translate into the variety of languages. On my presentation here, I do have a link to the tutorials, tutorial and the language codes. So what you're doing is you're creating a formula and they're using a 2-digit code to specify each of the languages. So for example, for the language codes like IT is Italian, LA is Latin, EL is Greek, and so on. So all the information is linked there in my presentation. Aziz, have any questions come up or anything like that?
Yes, so so first of all, this is the first time that that person is speaking that I know that Google Documents, Google and Google Sheet and allow for translation. This is a new piece of information for me.
Good, good. Well, it's pretty fantastic that it's available in so many aspects of the Google environment.
Yes, if you can also allow for some time to talk a little bit about Magic School after you finish.
Oh, sure. Sure. Yeah.
Yes,
After we get in with translation, we'll talk about Magic School. Absolutely.
thank you.
Okay. So, as you know, or maybe you don't know, YouTube is part of the Google environment. So they also have the ability to translate closed captions inside a YouTube video. So let me head over to YouTube. I have a video here, and this is a video that I made.
Okay.
Hi,
Let
everyone.
me stop
Let's look at how to
stop the video. We don't need to hear it. So I know for a fact that I did not load in captions for this video and I did not do any translation. But I can turn on subtitles, which are closed captions. And right now it's in English. I play for just a
create
second.
charts and graphs inside Adobe.
It's not translating, it's just saying in English, what I'm saying. But if I go to the gear, one of my options under subtitles is to change from English, which are the auto-generated ones, to auto-translate, and then I can choose another language. So I'll choose Arabic in this case. And now, if I click play,
Express.
I'm still
I'm here
speaking
inside
in
my Adobe
English,
Express project.
but the translation or the subtitles are in Arabic. And so this allows anybody to take advantage of a video that's not in their language. So just because the video is in English doesn't mean you have to read the subtitles in English. You can read them in the language of your choice. Most videos on YouTube have automatic closed captions. So almost every video that you have access to will be accessible to you just by changing the language of the subtitles. Okay, Adobe Express. Let's talk about Adobe Express for a second. So a little bit earlier in the presentation, you saw this image right here that I loaded into Google Translate, and Google Translate changed the image or translated the image, but it was a little bit weird in formatting. Adobe Express also does translation, and I'm going to do a demo in just a moment, but you can see that it did a much better job compared to Google Translate. It didn't change the font or the formatting, and I was able to translate into 3 other languages with really just 2 clicks. So it's super fast and easy to do that. Adobe Express is a free tool for K-12, and it is super fantastic. So if you've never taken advantage of it, I highly recommend it. We'll head over to Adobe Express right now so you can see it in action. Excuse my desktop, it's super busy, right? Let's see here. There we go. Okay, so here I am on the main Adobe Express screen. Adobe Express does lots of different things, but I'm going to pull over a PDF. You probably know that Adobe is the company that PDFs were born out of, and so of course they're going to do a great job with PDFs. So I'm going to drag a PDF over just in here to the general workspace and drop it off. It's going to upload it into this thing called the all-in-one editor. It takes just a moment, but we'll let it do its thing. You can see my original right here, and it's going to be teeny tiny on my screen, but we'll zoom in and take a peek at it. Actually, it's not too tiny. So you can see here's my original document. The formatting looks fine and everything else. But if I want this letter or any other PDF in another language, I have a translation button up here at the top center. When I click that button over here, I can choose multiple languages. So I'm going to choose, let's see, I'll choose Dutch. I don't see Arabic in the list. So not all languages are here yet. I'll choose French and I'll choose Hindi. I'll click translate and translation's in progress. And I could navigate away from this page. I'm not going to do that because we'll see how long it takes. But it's pretty sweet what it's able to accomplish. It's working hard on its translating. Hang tight, almost ready, it says. Okay, it's taking a little longer than I expected, but well, if we have to navigate away and come back to it, we will definitely do that. All right. As soon as I click away, I'm sure it will do its translating. So I'll head back here to my presentation. We'll check on it in just a second. So I'm not going to go into Canva, but Canva is a tool that's a lot like Adobe Express where you can create images and so on. It also has translation available inside the tool. It can't do multiple languages at one time like Adobe Express is doing, but it still does a great job. And you can translate graphics, presentations, imported files. I have a little example down here at the bottom left. Canva Pro is free for K-12 educators. So if you're paying for Canva Pro and you're a teacher, stop paying for it because you can get it for free. All right, let's see if Adobe Express did its thing while we were talking. Oh, there we go. All right, so you can see here's my original, and then I have it in multiple languages. So here it is in Dutch. I'll zoom in so you can see a little better. Maybe better than that. So there it is in Dutch. So it still moved the formatting around just a little bit like Google Translate did, but not nearly as much. And then we'll look at, here it is in Hindi. So there you go. So pretty great way to get lots of materials accessible into the hands of your students and parents. Okay, back to my presentation. Okay, we're now going to move into the world of Microsoft, because Microsoft has some great tools as well. It's not just all Google or Adobe Express or DeepL. The first thing I want to talk about is Immersive Reader. And Immersive Reader is available in multiple parts of the Microsoft platform. I'm going to show you it here inside Word. And here's that same text. I know you're tired of seeing it, but that same text from my school website. I'm here inside the web version of Microsoft Word. And if I go to the View tab, I have Immersive Reader right here. Immersive Reader does lots of things, not just translation, but this is a really great accessibility tool across the board. It actually will read aloud. It does some identification of parts of speech and so on. But the magic for translation is under this little picture of a book up here in the top right. These are the reading preferences. And I can choose to translate just a word or the whole document. So I'm going to toggle on document. And right now it's translating to Afrikaans. We'll change it to, let's do Arabic for Saudi Arabia. Let's see if it'll do the whole document for us. And there we go. So now we have a translated document and it will also read it to us.
كان فرانك نيوتن أوزبور رجل